Chapter 1, Mishna Dala, Mishna 4. Just want to remind everyone that tomorrow there will not be a Mishnah class because there's going to be, after davening, the breakfast and the shir. Whether that shir is going to be live streamed, I don't know yet, but there will not be a Mishnah class tomorrow. So Perek Aleph, Mishnah Daled, Chapter 1, Mishnah 4. All right, so until now we have been learning that if you have a woman who's an erva to a man, and she married that person's brother, that person died without children, and now she falls to Yibam, to her relative, or to whom she's an erva to, and she has a co-wife, there's another wife, that her husband was married to another woman also. The halacha is that both the erva and the tzaras erva, both the erva and the co-wife of the erva, there is no mitzvah of yibam or chalitza on them whatsoever. Now we're going to find out that actually that's a machlokes. It's an argument amongst the Tanoim. Beis Shammai matirin hatzaros la'achim. Beis Shammai permit the co-wife to the brother. That means everything we were saying until now was according to Beis Hillel. It was not according to Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai says the erva who falls to yibam, you can't do yibam on her. On the co-wife, you may. Ubeis Hillel oisrim, and Beis Hillel forbid. There is a question about how to interpret or how to derive something from the words in the Torah. The one who says that tzaras erva is forbidden has a scriptural source for that. And Beis Shammai does not agree with that with saying that there's such a scriptural source, and therefore Beis Shammai allow the tzaras yibam to be done in the tzaras erva, and the Beis Hillel forbid. Now there are a number of consequences that come out of that. So basically, what's happening is that Beis Shammai is saying the brother can do yibam on the co-wife of the erva. Beis Hillel says he can't. If Beis Hillel says you can't do yibam on the co-wife of the erva, then that co-wife herself becomes an erva. She becomes what's called an eishes ak shalei b'makom mitzvah. Your brother's wife, where there is no mitzvah of yibam, she's an erva. So it comes out that according to Beis Shammai, who allows the brother to do yibam on the co-wife of the erva, according to Beis Hillel, you know what he's doing? He's cohabiting with a woman who is an erva. You'd be liable to the punishment of kares for doing that. So there's a big difference. Beis Shammai says 100% mutter permissible. Beis Hillel says absolutely forbidden, with many difficult consequences from that. As we'll see, the consequences go in both sides. Now, the next part of the Mishnah deals with the following. The Torah says that a grusha, a divorcee, may not marry a kohen. The rabbis added that a chalutza, a woman who fell to her husband died without children, and now her brother-in-law has to either marry her to fulfill yibam or perform a chalitza to free her. If chalitza is performed on a woman, the Rabbanan, the sages said, she may not marry a kohen. It's too similar to divorcee, and therefore they say a chalutza, a woman who had chalitza, she may also not marry a kohen. So now, according to Beis Shammai, that at tzaras erva you can do yibam on her. Well, if the brother doesn't want to do yibam on her, what does he do? He does chalitza. If the brother does chalitza on her, can she now go and marry a kohen? No, she can't. But that's according to Beis Shammai, that the chalitza was a real chalitza. According to Beis Hillel, she doesn't need chalitza. According to Beis Hillel, because she's the co-wife of an erva, there's no yibam or chalitza whatsoever. So if they decide to do chalitza on her, it makes no difference. It didn't count as anything. So that's this part of the Mishnah. Choltzu. If, let's say, the co-wife of the erva had chalitza done, Beis Shammai poislim min kahuna, Beis Shammai invalidate her from the kahuna, she may not marry a kohen. Ubeis Hillel machshira, Beis Hillel says she can go ahead and marry a kohen. The chalitza, you did chalitza, you didn't even need to do chalitza. It was purposeless. And therefore, she's 100% kosher to go marry a kohen. There's no yibam or chalitza here on a co-wife of an erva according to Beis Hillel. You do a chalitza, it's nothing. It has no effect. All right, next. Now, the next ramification is the following. Nisyabmu. Let's say yibam was done on the tzaras erva. Okay, the Yibam was done on the Tsaris Erva. According to Beis Shammai, 100% kosher. According to Beis Hillel, 100% usher. Now, let's say after doing Yibam, this man dies. He dies. Okay, and they had children. Let's say they had children, whatever it is, and there's no more Yibam issues, or there's no whatever. He dies. There's no other brother to do Yibam, so she's got and he dies. Okay, now she lived with this man. The halacha is that if a woman lives with a man that she is forbidden to live with, she cohabits with a man she's not allowed to, she becomes what's called a zona, and she may not marry a Kohen. So in this case, if let's say Yibam was done in the Tsaris Erva, according to Beis Shammai, was it kosher? 100%. And therefore, if that husband were to die, so she's an almana, she can marry a Kohen, she can now that's Beis Shammai machshirim. Beis Shammai say she's kosher to marry a Kohen. Why not? She didn't do anything wrong. Beis Hillel Paislin. Beis Hillel say no way. Beis Hillel say she cohabited. Tsaris Erva is not allowed to do Yibam. She's an Erva. That means she cohabited in a forbidden way. Now she wants to go ahead and marry a Kohen. She can't, because she has the status of a woman who has cohabited with a man that she's forbidden to, and that makes her she cannot marry. A Kohen cannot marry her. Now, the Mishna now says something, a really unbelievable thing. Now you have to understand something else. There's another very big ramification. The Mishna does not mention it, and that is the following. According to Beis Hillel, according to Beis Shammai, the brother does Yibam on the Tsaris Erva, on the co-wife of the Erva, and they had a child. Right? Yibam, that's what Yibam is supposed to do, right?
No.
Okay, anything wrong with that child? No. According to Beis Hillel, anything wrong with that child? Absolutely. That child was born from a union that actually carries the punishment of kares for it. That child is therefore a mamzer. So the same child that, according to Beis Shammai, is 100% kosher, is a mamzer according to Beis Hillel. Now, even though Beis Hillel forbid the co-wife of the brother for Yibam, and Beis Shammai permit, these invalidate a woman for kahuna under certain circumstances. Beis Hillel invalidates under certain circumstances. And these, meaning both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, invalidate a woman under certain circumstances, and both of them make the woman kosher for a kohen in circumstances. So you can imagine that, would these people marry each other? I mean, you've got women who can't marry kohanim according to one or the other. You've got children that may be mamzerim according to one. So you'd say, no shidduchim between the families, because there's too many potential problems, right? Says the Mishnah, even though these forbade and these permitted, these invalidated, these said that they're valid. Beis Shammai did not refrain from marrying women from Beis Hillel. Nor did Beis Hillel refrain from marrying women from Beis Shammai. But how could they do that? Aren't they possibly getting into trouble? The answer is that one side would tell the other side, you cannot marry that one. This one is a problem for you. And this one is not a problem for you. Each one would tell the other one which one is not. If there would be any problem, they would say, not this one. Meaning they didn't say, we hold this, and whatever we hold, that's just fine, and that's it. They respected the other person's opinion, and they told them which women they may not marry, according to their opinion. And that's why they could marry within each other, because of the fact that they were respectful enough with each other to warn each other which women are permitted and which ones aren't. And the Mishnah continues. Any issues of purity and impurity, where you had one of the sides saying it's tar, and the other side saying it's impure. They had about Beis Hillel, the academies of Shammai and Hillel, they had arguments on a lot of things. and they had arguments regarding certain things, whether they are pure or impure. They're considered pure, they're considered impure. Now, if let's say, if that's an issue, so if let's say I'm from Beis Shammai, right, and I want to borrow something from Beis Hillel, I can be running into a problem. I may be borrowing something that Beis Hillel is pure, but I say it's impure, right? So I shouldn't go and borrow from them, right? So Mishna says, "Lo nimnu oisin taharis elo gabi elu." Do not refrain from performing by they do not refrain from borrowing each other's utensils in order to produce things that were tar for them. Meaning, as we learned, there were people, especially scholars, who always wanted to make sure that everything they ate was pure, and therefore all the vessels had to be pure. Okay, so some woman from who's married to someone from Beis Shammai wants to borrow something from her neighbor who belongs to Beis Hillel. We say, so the answer is they used to borrow. How could they borrow? And vice versa. How could they borrow? Maybe according to you it's tamei, and they say it's tar. The answer is they told you. If you wanted to borrow something, they would tell you. If it's according to them, it's impure. They would say, I can't lend it to you. It's impure according to you. It's a point that they respected each other, that whenever, to the point that they could interact with each other, because each one would warn the other one to stay away from something that the other party held they should refrain from. So they could marry each other, they could borrow each other's things, because because they would never put on someone, they would never put on the other what the other considered problematic. Okay. All right. Now the Chofetz Chaim says, he says, let's go back to what we started with, which is the Asr Lagana says, Chaveri Lasaper Lav Midas Hamagunah Sheyesh Lai. Now he's going to talk about, until now we're talking about, you saw him do something wrong. Now he's going to say, you didn't see him do something wrong, but you see that he has some bad character traits. You see about a person, that person acted haughtily, or he got angry, regarding a manner that it wasn't appropriate to do so. There are other types of negative traits. That's definitely something derogatory. To talk about, say somebody is arrogant, say somebody is haughty, say someone has a bad temper, that's definitely a negative thing to say about a person. And even if it's true, again he says, how do you know? Maybe he messes up, but afterwards he regrets it. He realizes it's wrong, and he regrets it when he does it. So again, if he regrets, he did tshuva, repented, you for sure can't talk about it. And even if you see that this is his habit, and it doesn't bother him whatsoever, you don't see any kind of regret, this is his habit. He flies off the coop. He has a bad temper. He is arrogant. That's the way he is. And there's nothing to see on him to say that he has any kind of regret for acting that way. Nonetheless, it is still forbidden to go and tell others about him and to mock him for it. Because it's possible that he doesn't realize how severe these things are. Even as he's going to point out, even negative character traits, we find so many sources in from our sages that they are forbidden to have these traits, and a person has to work on eradicate them. And if he doesn't, it's considered very serious. But who says this person that is guilty of that realizes that, and therefore, again, he may not go and publicize and mock him for it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.